What's up, everybody? Going live. Lies. There are no lies here. Only live. What's up, people? Thought I'd jump on board after hearing from Matt LaFleur. Much more comfortable at the podium this afternoon. I'll be much more comfortable in this chat as I sip on a beverage. Hello, Jared. Thanks for joining. How is everybody today? Can we just get to the draft? Or I'm done. I'm done. I'm done. I'm done. All the lead up to the draft. I'm almost done with the draft and it hasn't even started. I'm just done. I'm just done. I'm done. Benjamin, what's up, man? Jeremy, hello. Matt, how am I doing today? I'm doing. It's one of those days where I feel like I'm doing 100 things and none of them well. It's one of those kind of days. Negler, now that you're done with the draft, do you think Raji is coming back? Matub, I will find you, and I will kill you. No Ed Oliver, exclamation points. Devin White at 12, sure. Why not? I can't even read. I can't even argue anymore. What's up, Tim? How are you? Would taking an O-lineman be a choice since the Seahawks now have 2 picks in front of the Packers? Yeah, it's obviously still a choice. We don't know what the Seahawks are going to do. You would think they would tend towards using one of those picks on an offensive lineman. But you thought that last year, and they ended up taking a running back. So you never know. Clark to the Chiefs, yeah, big blockbuster deal earlier today. I get why the Chiefs want Clark, at least from an on-the-field standpoint. They gave up a hell of a lot to get him and then paid him big-time money. Marcus Lawrence money. It's a bit rich for my blood, but I understand they're transitioning to a 4-3. They want a guy who can do it all out there on the edge, and they think Clark's that guy. Bully for them. Why do they all disappear? It's different than on the computer when they just sit there. If I don't read them real quick, they just kind of evaporate like they're in Infinity War. I hope the Packers' brain trust does not trade down. Duly noted. I'll let them know. What you drinking? That would be a beer. Do you like Adderley or Savage? I probably like Savage a little bit more than Adderley, but I think both would be fine additions. If your preferred receivers are gone at 30, do you take Metcalf? I don't. Maybe the Packers do, although I doubt they will. Will you be at Lambeau Field for training camp? All I can say about training camp is stay tuned. There are some things brewing on the horizon with Cheesehead TV, with myself, a number of other entities. Watch this space. Any advice for someone trying to break into the world of online videos? Sam, it's like a muscle. You gotta do it as much as you can every day. Put out content every day. It's never going to be perfect. Just keep practicing, keep producing. Don't pay too much attention to the naysayers. Pay attention to the constructive criticism. And if there's any one piece of advice I give as a blanket for any kind of industry trying to work online, don't be a dick on Twitter. It's pretty simple. Who is a better tackler, White or Bush? Ooh, that's a good question. I don't know. I'd have to give that one a push. Maybe White by a hair. Having a good hair day? I don't know, dude. Yeah, I didn't look at it before I went live. How's that? Is it better like that? Like but go down, or is it better up? I don't know. I hear that Jonah Williams could fall lower than 12 because he doesn't want to move to guard. I mean, it's lying season. Don't believe anything you read and or hear when it comes to anything anybody said about anything. That's a good blanket statement and general rule. A prospect not wanting to move to any place along the offensive line, that smells like personnel people planting garbage to try and torpedo a kid's stock so he falls to them. That's what that sounds like. Robbie Gould to the Packers, send tweet. I know! was funny, Robbie Gould trying to make his power play, and then, the Chiefs trade for Frank Clark and just blow up the news cycle. It literally happened. Like, Schefter put out that tweet, and then all of a sudden it was like Frank Clark, and then everyone didn't care about Robbie Gould. I mean, you're a kicker, dude. You're not pushing a team around. Come on, dude. Just play out your year. Give me a break. Any cap casualties still on the team right now? I would suspect not, although, there could always be a surprise, but I doubt it. What do you think about Juan Thornhill? I like his tape. I understand why some people have some misgivings about his speed, his closing speed, some of his athleticism, but I think I mean, you look at the Packers in the secondary at the safety spot, and you're like, I'd take most guys in this draft as an upgrade. Now, it all comes down to value and where you select them, but yeah, like I said, I get why people are, hesitant on him. Would Polite falling down the draft boards be a steal? It's in the eye of the beholder, right? There may be a team that's out there that has a first-round grade on him, even after everything that's happened in this kind of lead up to the draft, the off-season stuff, the poor testing, what have you. But, if he, say, is a first-round grade on somebody's board and falls to the late second, then yeah, you got to think that's a steal, right? What can we expect from Pettine's system in year 2? I would think you'll see a lot of mixing and matching up front. You'll see Zadarius Smith moved around a lot. I expect him to kick inside on a lot of the obvious passing downs, and I think that's why, more than anything, you should expect if the board falls the way it needs to for the Packers, I would expect them to take at least one edge player in this draft to supplement what they have on hand already, simply because you want to send waves after the quarterback. And I don't think they have to force it, but as far as what Pettine's going to implement, hopefully you'll see, the beginning of the year, you saw a lot of coverage sacks, you saw a few coverage sacks early on, and I think that was when guys were healthy and the system was working. As the year went on, obviously, then we had Band-Aids back there, guys who were literally getting picked up on Wednesday and playing on Sunday. Those, that coverage didn't hold as well. Now, obviously, with the new additions, you would hope you're going to win some of those one-on-ones up front, and you won't have to rely on coverage as much. But I think he'll still play a lot of spin the wheel when it comes to coverage. He was really good at that in New York. He showed kind of spurts of it in Green Bay last year when he had enough talent to work with, and I think that's a big key. I mean, I don't think anybody's under any illusions for the job he did last year, considering what he had to work with, which was not a lot. That side of the ball needed a pretty large injection of talent, and that has started, obviously, with free agency. Trade 12 and 44 to move up into the top 5. Patrick, throwing the dice. I've said it before, if Gutekunst is completely sold on a prospect that he thinks is a complete franchise changer / difference maker, yeah, go ahead. Who would that be? I have no idea. For who, though? Yeah, that's up to Brian. Burks, I don't think will improve enough this offseason. Give me Bush at 12. Well, you can do both of those. You can do Bush at 12 and still expect growth and improvement, development from Burks. It's about getting better. You don't have to cut yourself off just because I think this guy is not going to make it, or this guy's improving. I don't need to take this really talented football player in the draft. That's just my philosophy, but I think teams don't do themselves any favors when they close themselves off from certain positions because of what they already have on hand. Now, obviously, there are going to be exceptions there, but for the most part, in general, I would say get as many talented players as you can, and then work on how you're going to get them on the field. Have you thought of doing an AMA on Reddit and facing that sect of fan base head on? Why? Sure. Yeah, why not? Reddit. I'm right here. Talk to me. AJ Brown or Hollywood? AJ. Is moving from 30 to 21 still a possibility, or do you think the Seahawks are satisfied with where they are at now? I guess it's always going to be a possibility, especially when you have that connection between Schneider and his friends there in Green Bay. But, again, it's dependent on who you're targeting. Bush at 12, Alabama tight end at 30. That sounds like a EA Sports thing, you know? Alabama tight end instead of a name. I like it. I think we take Hawk at 12. Absolutely possible. Is there a round in the draft where best player available switches to filling needs? Not necessarily. I think, sometimes they will pigeonhole themselves a little bit later on. But I think it kind of is a bit of a curve because early you want to take long-term investments, hopefully the best player available. Sometimes that will fit needs. Often it does. And then it'll turn into, okay, we need this, we need that. And then as it goes down back to, well, let's just get as many of whoever we think are the best players. And hell, the last 2 years we've seen, mini runs on wide receivers and running backs, trying to plug some holes. So you never know. Nags, what are your expectations for Jair Alexander this season? Man, the sky is the limit for that kid. It's all dependent on him becoming more consistent because he did everything asked of him last year. He balled out. He was physical. He stuck his nose in there against the run game. He covered the best wide receivers in the game. Sometimes he got, sometimes he got them. And I think that's what you wanted to see his rookie year. But now you want to see more consistency. You want to see those games just go back and look at, say, the Jets game, obviously they're out of it at that point, but he's still on the field and he's still having trouble covering Robbie Anderson. Now, everybody had trouble covering Robbie Anderson that day, even Jair, but, you just want to see a little bit more consistency. And yeah, you're a corner, you're going to get beat sometimes, it happens. You just want to see that kind of maybe a little bit lower on the completion percentage there. Over under on wins this year. Ask me again during training camp. Do you think with Frank Clark getting traded, Clowney is next to be traded? You can't shut the door on the possibility. But if it's going to happen, you would think it would happen prior to or during the draft. I don't know. I'd be surprised if that happened, actually. But it was interesting to see J.J. Watt's emoji response to the Frank Clark news when Frank got that humongous contract, and J.J. Watt gave us one of these. So they're going to have to pay J.J. And if they want to sign Clowney long term, that's a whole lot of money tied up in two dudes on your defensive front. And they have a young rookie, well, not rookie quarterback, a quarterback on a rookie deal for a couple of years, but they're going to have to pay him eventually too. So maybe they do entertain the idea of trading away the former number 1 overall pick. Sorry, guys, I got a call there. It just feels like Watt will play for the Packers at some point, right? I know Packer fans are loving that idea, but I don't see it happening. How do you feel about Rashawn Gary at 12? Not a fan. It's totally a possibility, and it depends on how they've evaluated him, but I thought Bob McGinn had a good write-up on that kid as far as, all the athletic gifts and how he not kept coming up short, but, it's funny. I thought PFF did a good job of breaking down his tape and looking at how many times, he was helped by scheme when it came to pressuring the quarterback, and how when he was given one-on-one opportunities, he didn't win nearly as much as you would like him to, especially if you're going to take him the upper parts of the draft. So for me, I'd probably pass, but that doesn't mean the Packers will. You never really know how they've evaluated any of these guys. Remember, everything we're doing on the outside doesn't mean anything comparative to what's going on inside the building. Greetings from Mexico. What's up, Rodrigo? Favorite free agent signing? Probably Zadarius Smith. I think he's a good chess piece for them to use on defense. I think all the signings are really smart. I'm excited to see how they utilize them all. But for me, Zadarius is the one that's really going to help open things up for everybody else along the defensive front and start to help get some more pressure on the quarterback. So if the Cards do not pick Murray, will it change the entire draft? I don't know about the entire draft, Mike, but it will certainly impact it early on, right? Yeah, all of that said, I gotta think they're blowing serious smoke there. The things that they said today, etc. I think Murray's the pick, and I think it's all about finding a spot where they can trade Rosen and get value for him. LaFleur looked more comfortable at the podium today. Going to be an interesting season. Yeah, I thought he owned it. Sorry, guys. I thought he owned it today. I thought he was worlds better. Really comfortable at the podium. Really honest, genuine answers. I thought he was... it was funny, though, because did anyone else notice at the beginning... I can't remember who asked the question, but he was talking about install. And it really felt like... I got to go back and watch it, but it really felt like he was talking about... Yeah, we've been working on this stuff for 2 weeks. We had our first install today. And then he kind of, in his head, realized he was either about to say something or had just said something that probably violated the off-season CBA rules and was like, how do I amend this? And then he just kept talking. Because you're not supposed to say and do certain things during the initial part of the off-season program. So it's just kind of funny. Can Aaron Jones be a top 5 back? Woo, Michael. That sounds suspiciously like a fantasy football question. Can he? Sure, he's got all the ability in the world. Will he get the opportunity to? I doubt it. I think you'll see a continuation of a workload split, and I think that's for the best for the Packers. I do think they'll draft another running back, probably on day 3. I think they'll feature Jones, but I don't think he's going to get, I just don't think he's ever going to see the kind of workload I think most fantasy players are hoping for. They're going to run the ball a lot. They're going to emphasize the run game. And as we've seen throughout the last couple of years, it takes a toll on these guys' bodies. And it's hard to count on any one guy to be your bell cow. Maybe they end up with somebody like that in the draft, but I don't think either one of the guys on hand are that guy. Even Jones, who I think is insanely talented. But, he just hasn't been able to stay on the field. Got to be able to do that. Do you see us drafting Daniels' eventual replacement? It's a possibility. He's entering the last year of his deal. He and Bulaga, I think, are 2 of the guys that you should watch for as far as, drafting a year ahead, getting ready for eventual departures. They're both, Daniels especially, those third contracts on the defensive side of the ball are very rare in Green Bay. But we'll see. I mean, who knows? Remember when they drafted Jason Spriggs, that was with an eye towards getting ready for Bakhtiari leaving, and then they re-signed Bakhtiari. Thank God. How long till we get the good old McCarthy type sayings from LaFleur? It'll be a while. I'm from the UK and have been at a London game every year since the start, and every year I see more Packers shirts than any other team. They have a huge following in London. They have a huge following in Europe. That's why it's crazy to me that they are literally going to be the last team to play over there. Nobody wants to give up a game with the Packers. People, Packer fans travel too well. Do you think Nasir Adderley is one of the most talented in the draft? His highlight tape is crazy. Yeah, I think he's crazy impressive, and you love the fact that he's related to a former Packer great. I think some of the questions there that I've seen and talked to people about, you do wonder if he can be interchangeable the way most teams prefer their safeties to be, or if he's going to have to be pigeonholed to one type of safety, which makes things a little bit more difficult on Pettin. Packers equal money. Can you blame them? I don't know what that means, but if you're referring to the Titletown announcement today, I mean, that is hella impressive. Do people understand? Do fans recognize what a absolute kind of coup that is for the Packers organization to get, these high-level investors putting in at Titletown Tech and bringing all this business to Green Bay, entrepreneurship, investing into the community, all this money that is then going to go back into the franchise that they don't have to share with the rest of the league? I mean, people make fun of Mark Murphy, and I get it. He's awkward on stage and yada, yada, yada. But I tell you what, he's going to ensure that the Packers are around and, a going concern decades into the future. And if he does nothing else in his tenure, if he's a complete boob when he's in front of the microphone, if he stumbles on his words, he makes awkward jokes and blah, 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 even if his picks for GM and head coach are bad, we don't know yet, we got to let that play out. But even if they don't work out, none of that really matters in the sense that Titletown and the investments that they're making is going to make sure the Packers exist for the next 3-4 decades. That alone cements his legacy. His mom is a badass. Yes, yes, she is, indeed. All right, I'm gonna jump. Thank you so much for all the questions, everybody. I'm sorry if I couldn't get to yours. They do fly by and then disappear when I'm doing this on the phone. But I'll be back in the studio tomorrow, and then our draft watch party on Thursday night. It'll be Corey Banke and I in studio watching the draft. We'll have Andy Herman drop by whenever the Packers make their selections. He'll help us break down the newest Green Bay Packers. And then Friday night, Andy and his merry band of draftniks will be on the Cheesehead TV YouTube channel right here, hanging out, talking all the draft nerd stuff that people love to talk that I just frankly can't get into myself. But I know a lot of people do, so we'll have Andy spearheading that on Friday. And then on Saturday, I'm going to be at Kettle of Fish in Greenwich Village watching day 3 of the draft. If you're in the New York City area, come on out. It's a fantastic Packers bar, the best place to watch a Packers game outside of the state of Wisconsin. And I'll be drinking all afternoon. I hope you can join me. We'll talk Packers. We'll talk draft. It'll be a lot of fun. Thanks a lot, everybody. Thursday night, whenever the draft starts, it'll probably start 10 minutes before the start of the draft. So stop on by. Hope to see you all there. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'll talk to you soon.